What we're going to work on here is, first we're going to do the blur. Alright. I'm going to make sure you have a clean image here to work on because I've done some practicing before I went to make this video. So I'm going to delete everything. You can do Gaussian blur a couple different ways. Okay. For this, you can either do the entire image, and the way you would do that, let's move this. You go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian blur, and this preview lets you see what's going on. So that's at 1.6 pixels. Okay, and the more you get, the blurry you get. And as you can see it in your preview, but you can also see it here. Okay, so let's just say we want to just create the minute blur. Alright, so that's without preview, without this blur, with the blur. So now it's a little blurry, just to kind of add some, special effects to it, a little mood. So then you undo this, because now, let's just say you're like, Brandy, I just want to blur out certain things. You go here, select this dotted square here, which is your select tool. Okay, let's say I just want this whole square above the bench to be blurred. So I drag across, you see the marching ants. You go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian blur. Same thing. You can make it super, super blurry, which is crazy, or a little blurry. And that way, you have a little bit of blur here. So I'm going to take this off. And you can see where the blur stops, but this is just an exaggerated example to show you. So I'm going to undo this. Okay. I'm going to take off this Gaussian blur. Yes. Okay. Now let's say I do Command I. Not that one. Command Shift I on Mac. And you see these marching ants on everything that wasn't selected, which means it will blur everything. So like, let's say I want to protect the bench. So I'm going to take my rectangle tool, drag it over the entire bench. Okay. Then I do Command I, Command Shift I. So it's going to blur everything around this bench. Filter, Blur, Gaussian blur. Alright. That's 3.1. Let's do 1.6. So it's a little bit blurrier before I'm really sharpening out that bench there for you. Okay, so that's blur. So we are going to start over with this image, put it in its original state. Okay, so now you go to brightness and contrast. So you go to image, adjustments. I need to move this out of the way. Image, adjustments, curves. Okay, and then you click and drag this curve. So this is like where you start. This diagonal line here is your 0 start point. So you're lining it back up. Okay, and then you pull it back out. So if you want to make it bright, crazy bright. If you just wanted to make it brighter, okay. If you wanted to make it a little more darker, you go below the curve. See here, your input is increasing. And this makes it go darker and darker. Okay. You go up, kind of brightens it up a little bit. Pull it back. There you go. When your input is decreasing, it becomes brighter. Now this is on the RGB. You can also do this with colors, to where you're like, I want to pull all the red out of this picture. I want to add red to this picture, or I want to leave it where it was. So that is how you do the curves. Alright, so now we are going to do the sharpen. You're going to do filter, sharpen, unsharp mask. Okay. And then you just mess with the dials here. This is 84%, where it's like making it super sharp. And then the more pixels you add, it's making it like even more sharper, which means it really adds the detail. And then the threshold kind of balances everything back out for you. Okay? So, like if you want to make it really artsy and creative, you could do to this point, which I have sold pictures that way before, and I kind of like the way that looks. You can simmer that radius down a bit. Okay, but it does seem a bit blurry, so you can make it do some pretty cool things with like sharpening it out for you. And again, the preview button, so you can see how sharp it is because of the details in the back wall there. So like, let's just say I wanted to leave it like that. There's the difference. More detail. You can really see it here because of the wall. Less detail, more detail. Okay? Alright, so now we're going to do black and white. You do image, mode, grayscale, okay, discard, and that's the black and white. You could do it that way, or you can do Command Option Shift B, and that will do a default black and white to where you're not losing all your color. It gives you a little more editing capabilities. So I tend to do the Command Shift Option B. Okay? So if you have any questions, shoot me a text tonight. Thanks, dude. Bye.